Good morning. Welcome. This is episode 6, Real Talk, podcast numero 6. What's happening? What's going on? Today is a little weather update for you. It is cloudy. It is grey. It is a little bit colder than I'd like. We're weighing in at 10 degrees Celsius. A little bit chilly for the end of July, but that is, of course, Scotland and Edinburgh. So, what's the latest scoop? Few different things of interest. I guess I could start off with my difficulties getting out of bed this morning. Now, every morning I face a psychological battle, and that is, do I forfeit aspects of my usual morning routine in order to catch a few extra Z's, potential Z's, not always guaranteed, or do I, practice diligently and rise to the occasion and get up and not be in a rush and have enough time to do my usual bits and pieces? That's a choice that I have to make every morning. And for the most part, I'm quite consistent. But this morning, I just decided, you know what? F this. I want extra Z's. And of course, then, inevitably, when I tried to catch the few extra Z's, I just kept thinking about, oh man, these extra Z's that I could potentially catch, could be better spent getting up, getting my breakfast together and all that kind of stuff. So it just ended up that I lay there in bed, and I was quite relaxing and chilled, but I just ended up in a big rush, and luckily for me, I did not get a parking ticket when I left 20 minutes late, and now I'm going to be late for work, which doesn't concern me that much. But however, almost ran into the back of a gentleman driving in front in a blue van, so thank goodness for that. What else is new in the world news? What's new? Don't know. I find world news it can be quite addictive, where you'll find an interesting story and then you'll just follow the shit out of it. I remember initially when Julian Assange and the WikiLeaks thing, dropped, and it was a whirlwind of fascination, even the Edward Snowden case as well, and it was just fascinating, sort of Hollywood movie type storyline. But now he's been in the Ecuadorian embassy in London for 2 years. He's just in there on his little treadmill, and he's got a UV lamp to simulate the sun. He may as well be in prison, and God only knows how that's going for him. Just what a bizarre lifestyle. But yeah, it was just an example, I guess, of one of these news stories that catches your attention, and then I kind of check in on it quite frequently. And then before you know it, then I've moved on and whatever. I haven't checked in on Julian Assange in months. I'm sure there's not much in terms of an update, but there you go. So shout out to Jules, respect. What else? World news. Any other big stories that caught my eye? Not really that I can think of now, but yeah, my point is, a lot of world news is kind of quite sad and depressing, so I do like to shield myself from it like some sort of a baby and stay away from the bad news and just kind of live in my own little bubble of positive energy, and it serves me quite well until I get into a general knowledge discussion with a news dork, and then I'm usually quite basic on the news front. But maybe I'll check when I go in this morning. it would be an interesting job to be a newsreader, just for the sake of having those kind of, those initial catchphrases. Good evening. The headlines no, you'd have to introduce yourself. Good evening, I'm James O'Reilly, and these are the headlines tonight. Then you'd have to have some sort of a jingle like dun, 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 dun. And then following on with some sort of. But you have to read the news items in a very specific news voice, and then depending on the integrity of the news, your tone changes and your demeanour would change. I don't really know what would be a good example. What would be a newsworthy story? I guess it could be some sort of scandalous activity with the bridge project. Like, good evening, I'm James O'Reilly, and these are the headlines tonight. Scottish Parliament. Felt that one took a sharp nosedive there. I got 2 words in and then face planted. Okay, take 2. Good evening, fucking hell. Right, take 3. Good evening, I'm James O'Reilly, and this is the news. No, of course it's the news. I meant that. It's actually quite difficult. Jesus. Okay, take 4. Here we go. I'm definitely not doing myself any favours for a career in news reading. But good evening, I'm James O'Reilly, and the headlines tonight. Scottish Parliament made a recent decision that the Edinburgh Forth Road Bridge would be put on hold due to funding difficulties with financiers. We've got more from that from our field correspondent, Peter Wellington. Good evening, I'm Peter Wellington, and I'm down here at Edinburgh Forth Road Bridge, and I've personally had a word with Peter McIntyre regarding the financier difficulties faced by the Forth Road Bridge contracting crew. And Peter, can you tell us exactly what has been going on down there? We've heard some news that there were some difficulties this morning, and that Prime Minister David Cameron will be involved. That's right. As far as we know, and things are being quite secretive down here. It's difficult to get any concrete information, but indications thus far suggest that there has been difficulties, and more on this tomorrow morning when the Prime Minister arrives. That wasn't too bad. That was probably the best I could do. And then I guess he would have to do that's Peter McIntyre, Forth Road Bridge, signing off. Maybe something like that. My good friend Deck, his girlfriend works for the BBC, and she's mad to get on TV. I assume to do that kind of shit, which would be fun, but man, like, God, it's difficult, and I'm not even under any pressure, and I can't string a few sentences together, so who knows? It does seem like a kind of a fun job. I'd rather do something like less serious, and because man, you're dealing with some heavy shit on the news. Also seems like the news is it's a difficult one. Somebody's deciding what's newsworthy, especially these days when the internet is it has fucking everything. So when you've got your normal news TV show of whatever it is, a half an hour, you have to decide what's newsworthy and what's not. If you send Peter McIntyre the whole way up to Edinburgh, you're covering the story. But maybe meanwhile something else interesting happens and Peter's otherwise engaged. But anyway, that's probably about enough for today. Wednesday morning podcast. A lot of people ask me, how do you deal with a Wednesday? And I like to say, that's a good question, first of all, and thanks for asking. But the way that I deal with a Wednesday is with a level of ferocity that not many can recognise. It's one that's covert, one that creeps up in the shadows, one that remains in silence, waiting for the moment to strike. And when that moment comes, the strike comes hard and swift, in a manner that is both equally terrifying and mesmerising. So, with that being said, I'm going to get off the motorway and get myself in line for a day of pretending to work. And I'll see you back here for the next installment. Be good, stay safe, and be strong.